Hi girls and boys, it's Miss Denise. I'm going to read you one of my favorite fish stories, and it's called Big Al. This story was read to me the very first time by one of my favorite people in the whole world. His name is Pastor Joe. And Pastor Joe's not at our church anymore, but he was here a long time ago, and he was one of my favorite people. He always had a smile and he always helped people. And this is why he talked about Big Al. Before we go, can you hear the water? That is my little waterfall in my backyard that my husband made. Now in this pond, there's no salt. So fish like Big Al or the whales or any of the things that we talked about in our song, they wouldn't have been in here. But I'm going to read you a story and see if you can hear the waterfall in the background, okay? Here we go. Big Al, written by Andrew Clements and illustrated by Yoshi. Oh, I missed a page. Let me go back one. In the wide blue sea, there was a very friendly fish named Big Al. You could not find a nicer fish. But Big Al was also very scary. Other fish seemed to have at least one friend, and some had many, but Big Al had none. He didn't really blame the other fish. How could he expect a little fish to trust a big fish with eyes and skin and teeth like his? So Big Al was lonely, and he cried big, salty tears into the big, salty ocean. Big Al really wanted friends, so he worked at it. First, he tried wrapping himself up with seaweed. He thought it was a great disguise, but no one else did. Who wants to stop and talk to a floating plant that has sharp teeth? Then he thought that if he puffed himself up round, the other fish would laugh and see how clever and silly he could be. All they saw was how big he could be, and they steered clear. Very early one morning, Big Al went down to the bottom of the sea, and he flopped and he wriggled himself in the sand until he was almost covered up. He looked much smaller, and when the other fish came near, Big Al talked and joked with them and had a delightful time. But then, one scratchy little grain of sand got stuck in his gills, and he sneezed. Achoo! When the clouds and sand cleared away, all the other fish were gone. Big Al even changed his color one day so he could look like he belonged to a school of tiny fish passing by. He bubbled along with them for a while, laughing and feeling like he was one of the crowd. But he was so big and clumsy that when all the tiny fish darted to the left and then quickly back to the right, Big Al just plowed straight ahead. He went bumping and thumping right into the little fish. Before he could even say, "Excuse me," they were gone, and he was all alone again, sadder than sad. Just when Big Al was starting to be sure that he would never have a single friend, something happened. He was floating along sadly, watching some of the smaller fish, and was wishing they would come closer. And as he watched, a net dropped silently from above, and in an instant, they were caught. Big Al forgot all about being lonely, and he forgot all about being sad. His eye bulged out bigger and rounder than ever. And with a mighty flip of his tail, he opened his mouth and he charged straight at the net. The net was strong, but Big Al was stronger. He ripped right through it, and all the little fish rushed out through the hole. But when Big Al tried to turn around and go out of the hole, he got tangled up in the net. He was stuck. The net went higher and higher towards the bright surface of the sea, and the little fish watched Big Al as he disappeared above them. And when the little fish were able to speak again, all they talked about was the huge, wonderful fish that had saved them, and how great to be free. But what a shame that the big fellow had been caught. Just then, there was a tremendous splash and crash above, and the small fish dashed away. Was it the net again? Not at all. It was Big Al. The fishermen took one look at him, and they threw him right back into the ocean. And now, there is one huge, puffy, scary, fierce-looking fish in the sea who has more friends than anyone else. Big Al. So guys, if you look in here, see if you can see some of the fish in my pond. Let's see if you can see some. They're hiding. You can't see any. Oh, there's some over there. See them over there by the lily pads? There they are. I see 3. We have 10, but only 3 are showing. Okay guys, so in our story, Big Al was scary, and all of those other fish judged him by what he looked like. They didn't know him. They didn't know that he was kind, and they didn't know that he wanted to have friends and he was lonely and sad. So we have to remember that God made all of us, big and small, people with yellow hair and blonde hair and brown hair and red hair, and we all have to be kind to one another, and we have to love each other, because you never know. One day you might get in trouble, and you never know who's going to save you. So until I see you again, my friends, be kind, be smart, be good listeners, and remember, God loves you, and so do I. Bye, guys.